Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Female Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Danny, and today I am joined by a guest in the form of Joe. Joe is a friend of mine. He's also an online coach and an in-person personal trainer, and he used to compete in bodybuilding, but now he's moved over to more of a CrossFit slash functional style of training, and his life has changed quite a bit since he used to compete. And I wanted to talk to him about that transition, and I think it will be really helpful for you guys to hear from Joe and also hear from a male's perspective, because I don't think that there's many guys talking about this sort of transition and how that looks. So Joe, briefly, let's start with when you used to compete in bodybuilding. So when was it that you started competing, and how did you do in the shows that you did?
I think I only did one season of shows, and that were enough for me. It was 2022, so I was still a junior, so I think I must have been 21 or 22. And I entered a regional. I ended up winning that, which then I went to a British and came second, which at the time I was buzzing with, but as you slowly start getting deeper into it, you realise what's what. But yeah, so I did it for around 3 years, like strict. I'd always trained before, like I'd always done sports before, and then I just went into bodybuilding and obviously went down that route for a bit, and then here I am.
And what federations did you compete with, Joe?
This is how untouched I am with it. Two Bros. I forget because I'm so thing. Yeah, Two Bros. I did. They were in London, Maidenhead. It were.
Yeah.
They were both there. To be fair, they were good run shows. And I think that's like quite a all right fed to do it with. So yeah.
And you touched briefly on how you did at those shows, but I sort of want to emphasize to people on this podcast how you actually genetically and from the work that you've obviously put in, you do have quite a lot of potential from a bodybuilding perspective as well. It's not like you've just stopped bodybuilding because you didn't do well. You actually did well and you had a lot of potential.
Yeah, I think it's I always think this with bodybuilding, and it's not a dig or anything, but I now, from like looking back, I see myself as, like, if you put it into like football perspective, how I like a Sunday league bodybuilder, if you know what I mean. I'd done a regional, which personally I think now isn't as sort of high end as I thought I was when I were doing it. When I was doing it, I thought I was like a Premier League status bodybuilder. But yeah, I did all right in the ones I did. But yeah, it weren't that I didn't do well. It weren't that I quit because I didn't win. I won and then ended up quitting. If you can say quitting, I'm not a quitter, but you know what I mean. I left that sort of style of training and that lifestyle behind.
I think the right wording is you just changed direction and allowed yourself to do what was right for you, as opposed to just carrying on for the sake of it. But like I said, you did have a shed load of potential. Like, you've got a great physique, you've got a great shape, and I think if you had have carried on, you'd have done very well as a bodybuilder. But you just knew that wasn't right for you.
Yeah, I think to be fair, like a few people have said it, and I feel like that's when I ended up like switching. People were had a lot to say about it, because maybe that potential to do well were there, and they couldn't get their head around why I'd sort of sack that off to go and jump around in a CrossFit gym. But it's a lot more than just how you look, and it's a lot more than sort of like what meets the eye. There's a lot more going off in your head and how you live and everything than just what you look like on stage for 5 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. And so what was your initial reason for competing in bodybuilding in the first place?
This is I just sort of like ended up falling into it. I got into the gym because I played ice hockey and I needed to put a bit of size on for that, and then fell in love with more the training. Did that and then trained, and then like just ended up competing. It was like a whirlwind. started training in the gym, and then I snapped my fingers an hour a week out from doing a show. It was just weird. I think my circle sort of, at that time, everyone was sort of doing that, and that was sort of like the cool thing to do. So I thought, I am like that though. I am like, oh, I'll have a crack at that. I'll do that, and then I end up, doing what I do.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do that with bodybuilding. They sort of fall into it. And then before they know it, it's almost taken over their life. And they're like, oh shit, like I didn't really intend on getting this deep into it. And
100%.
it's like shit, it's actually my life now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you do. That's bang on it. Like you start, and then it's even little things like you're slowly buying protein, you're slowly buying other things, and you're slowly like, it's growing. It's like an aura. That aura's slowly growing. You're turning more and more into like a bodybuilder. And then before you know it, it's everything, because it does do that. Like, I don't care what anyone says. If you're wanting to do it, it'll take over your life, like 100%. Because there is that like idea behind it that you can't do nothing else other than that. And I feel like that's what my issue were. I don't really feel I was ever going to be like your typical bodybuilder, because I do enjoy eating other things. I enjoy like go to a beefer. I enjoy life more. So I was never really in that clique. Like, I'd go and train at certain gyms, like say Ultraflex, and I just never fitted into that typical bodybuilder crew, if you know what I mean, because I just have other aspirations to life.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Nah, I like that. And when was it that you realized that you actually no longer wanted to compete in bodybuilding anymore? And why was that?
It is as simple as my mental health. There was one. I'm not saying it's like, if anyone's watching it and they're a bodybuilder and they're probably like maybe get a bit annoyed at what I'm going to say, but my personal journey with it, my mental health just deteriorated, and I just spiraled into something I were like, you obviously know what I'm like when you see me and stuff. I'm not happy and like bubbly and funny person, but I just turned into this dick. And then I thought, because I was just, everything around me were just getting ruined because of what I were like relationships, friendships, everything were just getting done in for this goal to stand on stage for 5 minutes. It's absolutely mad. And it got to a point I couldn't do it anymore. And
Yeah.
changed.
And when you say that happened, so your mental health deteriorated and your personality changed a little bit, did you notice that when it was happening, or was there a point where you were like, oh shit, this has changed?
No, not at the time, because you sort of like ignorant to it. I didn't care, and I know a lot of other people like aren't bothered. Like, they will happily sack friendships off they've had for years because to go to gym or to compete. And it's like, you have to sit and you think, is it all worth it? Well, it's not, like, at all. It's you're literally going to gym, you're standing on stage. But it does, like I said earlier, it takes over everything. And in my mindset, I was the normal one, and everyone else who was going out and enjoying holidays and time with the family, like, they're weird. And now it's just crazy to think that I'd turn down like meals out and time with family because I had to eat chicken and rice.
Yeah.
It's mad.
So when you took that, like, almost like a step back from bodybuilding, that you realized, because like you said, you thought that you were the normal one when you were doing it. So was it when you took a step back that you then realized, actually, that's not me, and that's not like what is normal for me?
Yeah. I took it. It was slow. Obviously, you can vouch that, like, you were there and you've seen it all. Like, I was constantly like, right, I'm cutting now. Now I'm bulking a bit. Now I'm doing this. It took maybe a year or so to get it like solely just out of my head. But yes, like them trips we had to like with them and stuff. Like, I was like, this is what like fitness should be, not right. I have to eat 2 hours before I have to, and everything just sort of clicked one day, and then I thought, oh, no, it's not everything. It's weird. It's like a euphoric moment when you realise there's more to life than that.
It's almost like, I feel anyway, it's like you find freedom again and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like,
Yeah,
this is life.
it's mad. It's mad. Little things like at work, if there's something like someone, I don't know, say a client's brought me something to eat, or I don't know, like anything little, and you're like, oh, I can have that, and there's no repercussions. Like back in the day, I remember it was my birthday, and I was coaching that day, and a few clients had brought me stuff in, and because it weren't on my plan to eat, I said thanks and that, but it all come home and it got passed on. It didn't get out, and I was like, what am I doing? At the time, I was like, no, I can't eat that. But now, I'm like, mate, just eat the Whisper Gold. It's not going to do it.
Yeah, definitely. And when it comes to nutrition, because you've just touched on that briefly, have you had any struggles since you've sort of moved away from bodybuilding? Because it can be really difficult when you initially remove that structure. And I think it can feel quite confusing, and some people feel a little bit lost when they remove that structure and they're sort of moving back into normal life and they don't really know what to do with their nutrition anymore. So did you have any struggles like making that transition?
1,000,000%. I convinced myself that I had a binge eating problem because I'd had 2 bowls of cereal. And I said that to you. I was like, oh, I keep binge eating. I can't stop. Like, I'm a mess. And I'd tell you what I'd had, and you'd be like, you had 2 bowls of cereal. Like, and because I was still in that, I weren't bodybuilding really. I was doing more like functional, but because my head was still bodybuilding, I was like, if I eat other than what's on this plan, then it's a binge and that took ages. That took so long. But now, obviously with CrossFit, I need to eat more because I'm like expending a lot more than I ever have done.
Yeah.
I love food, and it's a massive part of my day. But that routine really isn't there. I'm like, I flexibly eat. I eat when I'm hungry. I make smart choices, and yeah, I see food now as like I associate, like if I'm having a good time, say if I'm going out, food will be like with it. And I was told and ordered before in bodybuilding that I need to like disconnect from that happiness and food relationship, where like that I don't feel like that should be ever told to someone. Shouldn't be told what to enjoy and what to not enjoy.
Yeah. And now, do you track your food, or do you follow any sort of like meal plan or anything like that? Or do you not track at all?
No, everything gets eyeballed. Like if if I'm going on holiday, I'll just stop pouring as much oats in a bowl. I'll not wet. I'm not like my clients and stuff track, but I have been tracking for God knows how many years when I was doing bodybuilding. Like I know what's in food. But no, I don't track macros anymore. I just need my thing now. Food is make sure I'm eating enough to fuel CrossFit, because it's apparent when I'm not eating enough that my performance drops. So yeah, it's just a case of getting enough food in to make sure I can do what I need to do.
Yeah. And when you were struggling with food, when you felt like you weren't in a very good place with it, when you were telling yourself that you were binging and things like that, was there anything specific that you did, or any specific thought processes that helped change the way that you viewed food for the better?
I think it's when my training started changing. When because I went through a stage of not knowing what to do training wise. So I was like doing, it's like a few bodybuilding-ish sessions. I was like doing hypertrophy sort of style, and then one at days I would run, one at days I'd swim or something, and then it would get into a point that I was getting like so tired. And I know what I'm on, obviously know what I'm doing with food, and I thought, yeah, I'm not eating enough. So obviously I started doing more because I'm a bit like, I like doing stuff, so I needed to eat to fuel that. And then it just sort of clicked. There weren't any sort of like big thing I did, or it was just like I was getting so tired at work. I was like absolutely knackered. I couldn't train properly, and then that sort of spiraled. And then I thought, nah, just eat more. So it weren't a massive like I didn't read any books, or it was just, right, you're doing more, so eat more. And it sort of just clicked, which I'm very lucky, because I know other people have struggled a lot more than that. But yeah, it was just a case of doing more to eat more.
Yeah. And from a training perspective now, what does your training look like? And what are you enjoying about the training that you do now in comparison to when you were bodybuilding?
So yeah, I'm solely just CrossFit now. So usually my days start quite early. And the days will start with like a conditioning piece and then weights in the afternoon. So I do train twice a day, which I know a lot of people think you shouldn't do, but I enjoy moving. I can't sit still. So that's how I like to live. It's a lot, and I know like I thought when I said that sounds a lot like bodybuilding, that you go on your stairs and then you train weights, but it's so different because like, I enjoy it so much more. Like I'm not just stood on stairs plodding on. Like my conditioning, I'm skiing, I'm running, I'm doing different things. But yeah, there's that structure. So I have Sundays as a complete rest day, and then just Monday to Saturdays just full training. And then when competitions come up for CrossFit, obviously dial in and sort of focus on trying to do all right in them. But yeah, my training now, it's just I enjoy it. I enjoy it so much more because as a kid I was that person who do everything, and I feel CrossFit is that you do everything. And yeah, it's meant I get like a bit welled up when I talk about it. It's weird because I enjoy it that much. I just start smiling, and I've never, even when I did bodybuilding, I never had that. It was just I train, I get big. It was never that. I was never like smiling and stuff when I talk about it. It's good. It's sick.
Yeah. And has that transferred into how happy you feel on a daily basis in your life?
100%. I'm like a new person. Like all my clients have said it. Like my relationships have said it. Friends, family, everyone says that I'm a completely new person, which is what you sort of want. I want people who are around me to feel good. And when I did bodybuilding, I just didn't. I was just so negative all the time. If it weren't bodybuilding, it were no. So, but yeah, life now is different. It's so different. It's a lot more positive. It's a lot more like free, if you can say that. I'm a lot more free. I'm not like tied into a certain thing. I can do bits and bobs. It's class.
Yeah. One of the things that I really appreciate since moving away from bodybuilding is, again, like you've just said, that freedom and the ability to say yes to things and not have my day revolve around my meals and my training and cardio. And at the end of the day, bodybuilding, it takes up the majority of your life, like if you really want to do as well as you can in it. And so much of your day and so much of your brain space is taken up by bodybuilding. So like what I really appreciate now is just being able to say yes to things, being able to, like when I'm with my friends, actually be present with them, opposed to thinking about when I'm going to get back for my next meal or my training session or something like that. And it makes such a big difference to your life.
It's mad. It's so like we weighed it up. Like me and all my mates got together like a while back, and we weighed it up how long that I'd gone without going and having a drink with him. And I'm not saying I'm like a pisshead, but it's the little things add up that you miss. You miss birthdays, you miss this, you miss that, to go to gym, to eat out or a Tupperware, because it is everything. It does consume you. And I feel like when you are physique goal like driven, it will take over. And that's why like I've took this into clients myself. There's no client really now that has physique based goals. The physique based goal will be secondary to a performance based goal. I work it together. So if someone comes to me and says, "Oh, I want to look like this," I'm like, right, so have that as a byproduct. Don't have that as a focus, or you'll just end up spiraling out of control. And that's what I did. I always wanted to be bigger, always could be leaner, and then it goes west.
Yeah. I like to say to people, like, if you focus on how you feel, perform and recover, your body composition will improve alongside that. But it doesn't have to be the main focus. It doesn't have to take over your life.
Yeah, it is that. It's like if you're working towards a goal, like a fitness goal, it's only right that you're going to eat the right foods, to get to that goal, and your body's only going to change and follow suit. But say you put, and I always say, like, what's going to make you happy? Like, what will make you most happy? If someone says, I want to lose 2 stone, how do you think, why will that make you happy? What do you think that'll make you happy? And then you sort of break it down that they want to feel confident. It's not that they want to lose 2 stone. It's the confidence that they feel they'll get with losing 2 stone. So the goal is to feel more confident. So then you just break it down and see how it works with that.
I think some people that are in the bodybuilding world are sometimes scared that if they take a step back from bodybuilding, it might have a negative impact on their business when they're an online coach or a personal trainer. How have you found the transition away from bodybuilding has impacted your business?
Well, it's gone, it's like it's gone on a treadmill and someone's turned treadmill to max speed. A lot of people have seen sort of what I've done, and I won't say copied, but sort of seen that you can stay in decent shape, you can eat good food, and you can be fit and healthy and everything else. And a lot of people have sort of followed suit and done it. And with that, a lot of people have seen I've done it. So a lot of people have come to me to help them do it. So business has just flown. And that weren't the reason to do it. And that's what's like the most like natural thing about it, that it was a natural thing of me leaving because it worked for me. And then people seeing how happy it made me and how like fit I am and everything else. And they see it and they're like, oh, I fancy a bit of that. And then it's only right that people are going to try and get involved. And it's class, like so many people are doing it, and it's so good to see and help as many people do it as possible, which it's good. And yeah, there's so many healthy faces about it. It's good to see.
And I think it's just reassuring for people to hear that your move away from bodybuilding hasn't had a negative impact on your business, because I think a lot of people force themselves to continue with bodybuilding because they feel like they have to for their business to survive, which is obviously not the case.
Yeah, no. When you I broke it down to a to a bodybuilding coach who was saying the exact same, who came to the gym over the week. Like if you put bodybuilders in a bin, like of the whole amount of people in the world, there's not that many people who want to be an IFBB pro. So many people want to be fit and healthy. So you've just got to weigh it up. How many people are you going to really attract doing that than if you're doing this? And it was like someone had dropped a penny in his head. I was like, it's not an hard analogy to look at. Not many people want to stand in stage in a thong.
Yeah.
A full-grown man don't want to stand on stage in a thong. It's just not really like a really like thing. A lot of people want to be healthy and fit. So if you wanted to go down that route, do it. But you've got to do things off your own back. I feel like if that's holding you back, then you're just going to lie to yourself, and you're spiraling even worse out of control, that your mental health will take a knock because you're doing something every day that you're not really interested in doing.
Exactly. And if you're forcing yourself to do something that you're not really passionate about, that's going to show, and it's going to show in the effort that you're able to put into it as well. Like, you feel so aligned now with what you're doing and the message that you're promoting, you're passionate about it, and that shows, and that is going to attract people.
100%. I thought that I was lying. I felt guilty coaching bodybuilders when I'd quit, because I was like, I'm not interested in this. This is not like, I weren't excited to wake up in the morning. Like I'll wake up at like 4 a.m. near enough every day and do a run and then go to work at 5. But there's never a time where I'm like peeling myself out of bed. I'm up because I'm excited to go and help people who are on the same sort of track as me, not just wanting to get big. I felt like a fraud trying to get people big when I was like, I don't want to be big myself.
Yeah.
And that is it. You just lie to yourself, and then your coaching slips. And it is your coaching slips, and you don't earn as much money. Then you're not helping as many people. Then you're gonna get upset about that, and it's just a spiral, like a downward spiral. So if you are listening and you're wanting to change, just do it. Don't feel pressured to carry on doing something you don't want to do.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's so important to get that message across and to help people do what they feel aligned with and what they feel passionate about, because like I said, that passion will show in the effort they're able to give to it and their success, not just personally but professionally as well.
Yeah,
And when it comes to your training, do you have any goals in terms of like, are you planning to compete or anything like that in CrossFit?
Yeah, so I've done two now. I've done two competitions. I did, what was it last weekend? Last weekend I came second, which were all right. The places are growing. But yeah, like the goal, I am very competitive. So if I'm going to do something, I want to be like very good at it. So that the performance element is like exactly like right up my street. So yeah, the goal is just to be as fit, as healthy, and as happy as I can. Like as cliche as it might sound, that is it. And it all goes hand in hand for me. If I'm fit, I'm healthy, and if I'm fit and healthy, I'm happy. So that's just the goal, really, and be the best CrossFitter in the world.
Yeah, get to the games.
Yeah.
And just to touch on, you spoke about food a little bit earlier. Have you struggled with body image at all? And how is your body image now, if so, in comparison to when you were competing in bodybuilding?
Yeah, I won't lie and say that I didn't struggle, because I did. I convinced myself that I was fat for ages and unhealthy, and yeah, that were bad. But like I'm a big preacher in this now. I put a post on the other week about trying to help people who are leaving bodybuilding to do this. You are gonna put a bit more body fat on, and I accept it. I'm open to a bit more body fat, because it means I'll get stronger or things like that. But when I first did start, it were a big change. I was like, what is happening to me? I'm not as popping, my arms aren't as big, my like calves aren't as big, and everything, it was just like adding up. But when you like break it down again, that's not the goal. If the goal was that, I'd train for that, but I don't, so I can't really complain if my arms are getting smaller when I don't directly train them. But yeah, it took a while. It took a while, but then obviously when I sort of thought, yeah, that's not the goal, so it don't really align with me anyway. But yeah, I don't, weight wise, I don't know, because I don't really weigh myself, but I know I've obviously put a bit more body fat on, and I'm not shredded like some of my mates. I'd say that's the only really like sort of hard sort of place I were, that a lot of my mates do still do bodybuilding, and I'm not as shredded as them. And like if we go on holiday or something, and they're like, I don't know, them little jokes like, I'm peeled, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm fit. It's just knowing what I want. I am still surrounded by quite a lot of bodybuilders as well, so that sort of, that at the start it sort of got me a bit, they're all peeled and stuff, but it's more to life than being shredded. I like croissants too much to be shredded anyway, so
Yeah. What do you think has helped you get to a better point with your body image, so to improve your body image?
I just disconnected, and like I said about performance, I just set performance-based goals, and like I've never been as fit in my life. I've never been as healthy in my life. So if not having a six-pack means them two things, then I'd happily be fit and healthy. Like it means absolutely minimal. Like to me anyway, I know a lot of people are different on what they see themselves like. But I did convince me, like I even said it to you when we're training, that I feel like watery. I kept convincing myself I was watery all the time, and then I weren't. But like I am like a strong believer in setting performance-based goals. I keep going on about it, but once you do that, you will switch off from being shredded. Like you'll think, oh, I can run a 5K in 19 minutes. Oh, that's better than having a six-pack.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I think as well, the fact that you just pointed out, like when we were training together and you were in that immediate post-show period, you were pointing out things like, you were saying, I'm watery, or I might run in a fat loss phase, things like that. You were very focused on your external appearance, but that is a natural result of competing in bodybuilding, because that's what you're judged on. When you step on stage, you are judged on your external appearance, your physique, and how shredded you are, to such a minute detail, because obviously there's 20 plus bodybuilders on a stage being judged on how big you are, how lean you are, and your physique is literally picked apart. And on a daily, you know, in the run up to a show, you're taking check-ins every single day almost. Your day literally revolves around your external appearance. And so it's only natural then when you come away from that to still struggle with overanalyzing your external appearance to some extent. But that's where I think it gets important to then shift your focus, like you have, to how healthy you are, how much happier you are, your performance-based goals. And it comes down to accepting it's going to take time for you to change your mindset and change your focus areas after you've been so heavily focused on your physique for so long.
Yeah.
And it's only natural to feel like still focused on your external appearance initially. And it just takes time to recognize the positives of like gaining a bit more body fat, being more performance focused, and accepting seeing your body change.
I think people need to, like, if people are like listening at that, like that's just it, nail on the head, that it's going to happen. You are going to still, for a while, unless you're some superhuman and you can just switch like that, you are going to still have them little niggles there where it's like, like, I'm not as shredded, I'm not as peeled, I'm not as this, I'm not as that, because like you said, you're getting picked apart on absolutely everything. You put an Instagram picture on when you're on a prep, the amount of people who will look at that and zoom in every little minor detail is absolutely insane. So that mindset took a while. It took at least 6 months, maybe even longer, for me to like just disconnect to a point where I can put a picture on Instagram with my top off now, and I'm just not bothered. I train with a top off all the time, but it's not a case of like, look at me. It's just because I'm sweating my absolute bean off. So
yeah,
it's just, you just need that disconnected. That I'd say that's probably the hardest thing, because I've spoke to a lot of people who are doing this at the minute, and they're like, I'm scared to lose muscle, I'm scared to lose this, I'm scared to do that, and it's just a case of like, it's probably going to happen, but of a risk to reward, you're going to feel a lot happier, a lot healthier. Doesn't matter if you lose an inch on your arms, not really.
And it's also refreshing to know that other people don't give a shit like how shredded you are. The people who actually care about you and who you value in your life do not give a single shit, whether you're 10 pounds lighter or 10 pounds heavier, in regards to muscle tissue or fat mass. Yeah,
100%. I've had so many more compliments now on my appearance than I ever did when I did bodybuilding. Like, and that's, and on art, I look healthier, I look happier, and that goes a lot further than any other compliment I got off your regular Barry in a bodybuilding gym, where he's like, oh yeah, you've got good calves, mate. I'm like, yeah, cheers, pal. That means no, like, someone going out of their way, out of the time of the day to say that you look happy and you look healthy. I feel like that's best compliment anyone can sort of give anyone. Not, oh, you've got a big chest, pal. Like, that's just like a passing comment, but someone saying you're happy and you're healthy, like, goes a million miles.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's really refreshing to hear you like say and be open about the fact that you have struggled with things like body image, because a lot of guys don't talk about it. A lot of girls are talking about it more now who are coming away from competing, but a lot of men don't talk about it openly. And it's really important that people are open to talking about it more, so that people don't just suppress it and pretend that they aren't having those issues.
Yeah, in men, it's a known thing. Like, I'm guilty of it, having a guard up and not expressing how I feel and stuff. And I'm not saying anything to like people like, oh, I need cradling or anything. It's just like the truth of, like, I struggled like big time. I struggled when I did bodybuilding, that I was just pushing people away and I felt alone. And then I finished bodybuilding for a brief period of time. I struggled on how I looked. And then it sort of just, I woke up one day and I'm like, oh, I'm all right. And I've never been as happy. So it's, for me, the journey it wasn't an easy journey leaving bodybuilding, because at the end I was just upset and I weren't challenged, and everything was just sort of just on a downward spiral. Then I finished, and then I sort of felt lost. And then I sort of like found myself, if you can say, like, found myself. But yeah, and now I've never been as happy in everything, every aspect of life. It's just like good. It's how life should be.
And when you were in that place where you felt quite low, and you said you felt quite alone after pushing people away, how did you initially start to take action to get yourself into a better place? Like, was there anything that sort of pushed you to do that? And how did you do that? Because there might be a lot of people listening who are in that low place now and they feel like they can't get out of it.
Yeah. So like my low place was like very low. I was like out every weekend just because I felt so lost. That goal had been took away of being an IFBB pro, and then I didn't have one. I didn't have no goal. I sort of felt lost, so I turned to going out and stuff. And it was just really my family. Like, it were a Christmas day. The thing that turned was a Christmas day, that I'd gone out on Christmas Eve. I'd been out all night, and I came in on Christmas Day, and my family just looked at me and they were like, "This is not you. Like, what are you doing?" And it were like I had to sit down with my mum, and we just spoke everything out. And I feel like that's one of them things that you need to do. Like, I pushed my mum away so much when I did bodybuilding, to a point that, like, we didn't really talk. And then it was that Christmas Day that we just said, like, what's going off? And I just opened up. And like, I'm not afraid to say it, I cried like a baby. But it helps. Like, sometimes men have just got to, whether it's a mate or your girlfriend or anyone close to you who you trust, just open up and just lay everything out, because I held it in for however long. And then when it comes out, you can't start building on a building that's got no footings, if you know what I mean. You've got to lay everything out to grow from. And that's what I did. I just spoke to people and reached out to people, and then sort of started making them that progress to being a better person.
Yeah, it's so good to hear that, because I just think so many people need that message if they are in that spot where they're feeling quite low, because sometimes it can be easy to think that you're the only one feeling that way. And it can be easy to think that you don't want to be a burden on anyone else by opening up. But actually, people really appreciate you opening up, and people just want to help you. And often talking is like one of the best things you can do.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. The people who care will always want to listen. Like, you know a difference from someone who's wants to listen to what you're saying, or someone who is waiting for their turn to talk. And just go to the people who want to listen and just let everything out. Like, someone who, like your parents, like, I know not everyone's got like brilliant relationships with parents, or there's someone, or there's like therapy, or someone you just need to talk everything out, because holding it up, you feel so tight. You walk around day to day like you've got a rucksack on your back with however many weights in, and then when you just lay everything out, it's like you can finally breathe and just let everything sort of out, and it's just like a new lease of life that you get after everything's been said.
Yeah, I really appreciate you saying that. And like I said, I think so many guys will appreciate that and be able to relate to that, or where you were feeling at that low point when you felt like it was really difficult to open up. And it's just so important for people to talk and take that initial step, no matter how hard it feels in that moment. You know, it can feel so difficult to talk, and I know that it's easier said than done.
Yeah,
just letting it out and talking to people who appreciate you and are there.
It's mad. It's like when you think about it, it's like all I'm doing is talking. You talk every day. That's all you're doing. You're just talking. You're talking every day to someone you probably talk to every day, but you just don't talk about them things. And when you feel like, obviously, it's like a weight of world on your shoulders, just that little conversation, it can be like 10 minutes, and then you're like, right. And then any time I've ever been faced with something like holding something in, whenever I've said it, I've been like, why did I not just say that like 2 or 3 months ago? And then I won't be in this position that I'm in. So I do like having open conversations and like relationships with people where conversations can happen. I do feel that that's a massive factor in getting yourself out of any deep hole.
Yeah. And since you've been more open to communicating about that sort of thing, and you've also become healthier and happier personally, I know you touched on this briefly, but has that had a positive impact on your relationships with friends and with loved ones as well?
100%. 100%. we're like one big massive. I know it's not everything. Like everyone's not always happy with it. Families argue, but like I feel like sometimes that I was like that elephant in the room when I did bodybuilding, because if someone said something that I didn't agree with, I'd be like, bang. I was so short fused all the time, and I would just, I don't know, I was like so negative. People would like watch what they were saying around me. Like my little niece and stuff wouldn't say stuff to me, and my nephew and stuff wouldn't say stuff because I would just like this different guy. But now I'm Uncle Joe, the knobhead, and that's meant.
It can be easy to become quite defensive. Do you know when you're
yeah,
stuff like that?
Oh, my mum wouldn't even talk to me on prep. She wouldn't even come into the same room because if I ate like I had a favourite spoon, and if it weren't I couldn't find it, I'd be stressing. I had a favourite bowl, I'd be stressing if I couldn't use it. I used to eat my porridge in the morning in dark. If anyone came into the room, I'd be like, it's so fucked. But yeah, like it's weird. My mum just didn't want to be near me because I'd cause an argument somehow. I'd be like, where's my spoon? She's like, oh.
Yeah. I know it's so mad to look back on, but I'm just so glad that you're healthy and happy now. And it's been so good to see you progress, like personally and professionally. And I'm sure now you've made that progress, things will only continue to grow for you, like personally and professionally. If anyone is sort of thinking of going through this transition at some point soon, or is going through this transition now, what would the biggest pieces of advice you would give to those people be?
Enjoy it. Enjoy finding out them new, like, I always, like, someone asked me this and I said it the other day, like, enjoy them new things that you haven't enjoyed for ages, like eating out of a different bowl, or that, like, enjoying different ways of sport or stuff like that, and just do it, and you'll like, it'll take a while. Obviously be ready for all the changes that are probably going to happen physique wise, and like your mental state might change, but enjoy I say it all the time about enjoying the process, but it's a completely different process to a prep process. It's a process of sort of like not waking up, but like getting back to normal, if you know what I mean. Just finding that new, like, normal life. Enjoy that, because once you're at this sort of stage that we're at, it's meant.
Yeah, like self-discovery. It's like a process of self-discovery, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like you go on a journey. It's like, hippie as it might sound, you are going on a journey to find a different life. I sound like Gandhi, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But yeah, just enjoy it, because it's a good life. This life we live is a good life.
It is a good life.
Yeah.
But no, thank you so much, Joe. It's been an absolute pleasure. This has been a fantastic podcast, and I can't wait to get it out to everyone. Where can people find you on social media? Is there any other sort of like websites or anything like that you want to mention?
So my Instagram and everything else, YouTube, is all Joe Cross PT. And yeah, everything on there is try and make it a bit funny. And yeah, like I do stuff like this, like nice pieces of information for people who are wanting to get into CrossFit or hybrid or whatever sort of this is, whatever this label is that we've got. And yeah, if you want to follow me, then yeah, cheers.
We'll label it, Joe, we'll label it The Good Life.
Yeah, The Good Life.
The Good Life. But thank you so much for listening, guys. As always, if you do enjoy the content on the Female Fitness Podcast, please like, subscribe, and leave a review down below. And I will see you all next week. Also, tag us in your Instagram story and let us know that you're listening as well. And I'll see you in the next one.